So we're going to keep working on the skeleton and skeletal construction. I'm going to do a couple of demos here. I did a couple last week and they were pretty straightforward. These I want to do a little bit more interesting poses, and I want to take my time and maybe focus in on the actual construction of the skeleton within the form, and then what to do with that contour line after you've got the light gesture of the figure and the skeleton blocked in. So I'll probably just do 2 of those and maybe stretch it out a little bit more over what I did last time. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So the first pose that I'm going to work on today on this second week of skeleton drawings, skeleton construction drawings, is a very extended view of the model of Barry. He's leaning way over. He's leaning on a pole, on a stick. It's way over here. He couldn't get his body to come that far over without leaning on something. So it's a very dynamic pose. I started off with my eggs in the sack, twisting and turning, head and neck, came down right away, get down all the way to the ground. I'm using my chopstick to get angles from my reference, bringing it down. So for instance, the angle from his elbow to his knee, the 2 feet, I have pretty much the location where they're going to be. Now I've got the angle. I wanted to get the angle of his overall body too. This really lean. So I've got that as well. This is all construction, part of my gesture and construction. Then I want to get right into the pelvic box, tilted pretty far over. Okay. I'm going to start working with a skeleton, but I want to get my simple shapes first, including cylinders for arms and legs, just really lightly. You can only see the one arm, so that's good. Same here, cylinder. We're looking at it straight on, so there's not going to be too much perspective of it here. There's a cylinder. This one comes almost straight down. So there's my cylinder. This cylinder is coming back in space, or towards you actually. It's going back towards the butt, but coming out towards you. So that cylinder would be something like this. And the same thing with this cylinder. You know, we're not going to see down inside. We're going to see a curve like this. And then at the bottom, and this is the whole calf muscle, and then that becomes the Achilles tendon right into the heel. Okay? So that's my block-in gesture. I got right away, I wanted to get that beautiful line of the spine right into the butt, so I'm going to know where my sacrum is. It's at the top of the pelvic box. Okay, then I can start doing a gesture drawing of my skeleton. That's what I'm going to do now. So I've got my skeleton reference handy, which you should do the same thing. I sent out these front, side, back views, which you could print out if you want to, or you could look at them on your screen, but I think it's a great idea if you can to print them out and just clip them on your drawing board. So you can start anywhere, but let's start with the pelvis. So pelvic crest, okay, we know it goes right into, there's a back view that actually might be a little bit better. There we go. I got a side view and a back view, and they kind of come together here. So again, pelvic crest, sacrum. I'm gesturing, just keep it really light. Now, most important part of the pelvic bone, one of the most important things, is knowing where that hip bone should be. So remember the greater trochanter, that's what we're looking for. So that would be the top of the femur bone. So, okay, let's come back up and we'll accent later. Let's block in everything first. So the obvious thing that I can see from the photo is the scapula. Now, when he's going to raise his arm up like that, the scapula is going to go from straight down like this. It's going to go swivel and go up at an angle. So that's what I want to do first. We know that the acromion process should be right where that little dent is between his deltoid and his shoulder, right there. So we'll save some room for that. Here's our scapula, sort of a modified gesture and contour. And there's the spine of the scapula. And the tibia is the inside bone. So this would be the malleolus, which would be the ankle of the inner bone, and then the fibula would be on the outside, and we're not going to see too much of that. If you can see his ankle on the other side, ankle bone, and you can, then you can see a little bit of the fibula on that side. Okay? Alright, so let's see what else. Okay, come up here to the arm. We've got the arm socket, the glenoid fossa. Okay, it's part of the scapula. And we've got humerus, larger of the arm bones. Coming over to the radius and the ulna. So this is the thumb side, so that means this is going to be the radius. And the ulna on this side. And the very, very bottom, we can see a real nice elbow. So that would be the olecranon process right there of the ulna. And the humerus would fit right inside of that. Okay? Okay. So now that I've got my skeleton kind of roughed out, gestured in, let's start accenting some of the body on top. I'm using a black Prismacolor pencil. You could use a, say, a 2B graphite pencil if you wanted to, or a Derwent drawing pencil. Just for landmark, I'm showing the back of the ear there, and on the other side. Okay, overlap, shoulder muscle. So deltoid. Biceps. Barry's got a very large tricep. So I'm not, doing a really strong pointed line. I'm taking my pencil and just keeping the sharp edge just at a little bit of an angle, just getting that contour line around it without outlining it, but at the same time without a sketchy line. Okay. So I'm going to go around the figure. I'm going to softly, lightly block in the body around it, and then come back in and finish with the skeleton. So I finished most of the body contours, and now I want to come back in, and there's no set way that you have to follow this, but this is what I would suggest, is save the skeleton for last, so you know how to accent, where to accent, how strong to make it. Use your reference. You can't do this without a good reference. So again, I'm not going to put a lot of detail, maybe just a stop and a start, maybe just a little bit of a stronger accent, just so you can see where that goes. But I'm not going to draw individual vertebrae and individual bones. That would take up too much time. But I am going to add a little bit more detail here to my sacrum. And the same with my pelvis, pelvic bones. Turning the pencil just to get a little bit of a different contour. Greater trochanter. It's rotated up now. patella. Missed that a little bit. It should be right about there. The knee, anyway. Fibula's on the outside, so that's a little bit stronger overlap. If you want more control on your pencil, but you still want to use it underhand, just use it at the point more. You're going to get as much control as you need, probably. And these are 30-minute drawings, so spend 10 minutes at least on the construction gesture, and that could include some of the skeletal structure gesture. But then give yourself at least 10 minutes at the end to finish off your skeleton. The other femur. Patella would be probably right about there. A little bit more detail on the tibia. Got a foreshortened leg that's coming out at me, and that's why it's a little bit bigger, and I'm drawing it a little bit bigger. Down to the calcaneus. Feet, the bones of the feet are pretty small, so you probably don't want to worry too much about that. Just a little bit nicer contour here. Okay.